Hello, everyone. Welcome back to my channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before starting the video, please subscribe and keep watching for more detailed videos. Rich Forrester didn't expect the news to hit him like a punch to the gut, but the moment he realized Eric was truly serious, there was no denying it. This wasn't just another dramatic declaration from the family patriarch. This time Eric meant it. After months of quiet reflection and watching from the sidelines, Eric Forrester was done with retirement. But what shocked Ridge and Brooke even more wasn't Eric's return to fashion. It was where he chose to land. Not Forrester Creations. Not the family empire he built with his own hands. Eric chose Katie's fashion house. The reaction was instant and explosive. Ridge tried to mask his fury behind logic, but the betrayal cut too deep. Eric walking away from retirement should have been a celebration, a triumphant homecoming. Instead, it felt like a public rejection. Ridge couldn't understand why his father would refuse to come back to Forrester Creations, especially now, when the company was supposedly stable again. Eric had always preached legacy, loyalty, and family. So why turn his back on the very house that carried the Forrester name? Brooke was no calmer. In fact, she was livid. To her, Eric's decision felt personal. She had stood by him through his health scare, defended his right to step back, and supported his creative spirit even when others doubted him. And now he was choosing Katie, her own sister, over Ridge and over Forrester Creations. Brooke tried to hide her hurt behind anger, but the sting was unmistakable. This wasn't just business. This was family, and lines were being crossed. Eric, however, was unmoved by their outrage. Calm, clear, and surprisingly resolute, he made it known that this was his choice and his choice alone. He wasn't abandoning his legacy. He was expanding it. Eric explained that Forrester Creations no longer needed him in the way it once did. Ridge had taken over, made his mark, and built his own vision. Eric didn't want to hover, interfere, or relive the same battles he had already fought. What he wanted was freedom. Creative freedom. And Katie offered him that. Katie Logan's fashion house wasn't a threat to Forrester Creations, at least not yet. It was smaller, more intimate, and still finding its footing. That was precisely why Eric was drawn to it. He saw passion there. Hunger. Possibility. Katie wasn't trying to outshine anyone. She wasn't chasing power. She wanted to create something meaningful, something honest, and Eric recognized that spark immediately. It reminded him of his early days. Before the boardrooms, before the constant wars for control. Katie was stunned when Eric approached her. She never imagined the legendary designer would want to work under her banner. At first, she hesitated, fully aware of the chaos it would cause. She knew Ridge and Brooke would see this as a betrayal, and she didn't want to be the source of another family feud. But Eric was firm. He didn't want to consult. He didn't want permission. He wanted to design. And he wanted to do it with her. When word spread, the Forrester offices were thrown into turmoil. Employees whispered. Designers speculated. Some were thrilled at the idea of Eric returning to the industry, while others questioned his loyalty. Ridge struggled to maintain control as frustration boiled over. He couldn't shake the feeling that his father was making a statement, that Eric didn't trust his leadership or respect his vision. Every reassurance Eric offered only made Ridge feel worse. Brooke confronted Eric directly, demanding answers he had already given. Why Katie? Why now? Why not come back home? Eric listened patiently but refused to bend. He reminded Brooke that retirement had changed him. Facing mortality had shifted his priorities. He didn't want power struggles or emotional landmines. He wanted joy. And Katie's fashion house gave him that without conditions. Brooke accused him of tearing the family apart, of choosing one Logan over everyone else. Eric countered that the family had been tearing itself apart long before his decision. This wasn't about sides. It was about choice. And for once in his life, he was choosing himself. Katie found herself caught in the crossfire. Brooke's anger wasn't subtle, and Ridge's resentment was impossible to ignore. Katie tried to explain that she never asked for this, that Eric came to her. But explanations didn't soothe the hurt. Brooke felt replaced. Ridge felt undermined. And Katie felt guilty, even as she was excited by the opportunity of a lifetime. As Eric settled into his new role, The creative energy at Katie's fashion house skyrocketed. Sketches turned bold. Designs took risks. Eric poured himself into the work with a passion no one had seen in years. He wasn't trying to compete with Forrester Creations, but it didn't take long before people started noticing. Buyers showed interest. Media buzz began to grow. And with every headline, Ridge's frustration deepened. Ridge accused Katie of exploiting Eric's name to elevate her brand. Katie fired back that Eric didn't need exploiting. He was a visionary who chose to be there. Brooke stood by Ridge publicly, but privately, she was torn. She hated seeing Eric happy without them. She hated that Katie was thriving. And most of all, she hated that she couldn't control any of it. Eric remained firm, even when pressure mounted. He refused to be guilt, manipulated, or emotionally cornered. He loved his family, but he was done living for their approval. This chapter of his life was about passion, not obligation. As tensions escalated, one thing became clear. Eric's return had shifted the balance of power in ways no one anticipated. Ridge and Brooke weren't just dealing with a business setback. They were facing the reality that Eric Forrester was no longer the man they could influence. He was charting his own path, and whether they liked it or not, the fashion world was watching. And as Eric stood confidently beside Katie, sketchbook in hand and creativity blazing, Ridge and Brooke were left to grapple with an uncomfortable truth. This wasn't a temporary rebellion. This was a reinvention. And it threatened to change everything they thought they knew about family, legacy, and control. Come back to our channel for all your updates. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to my channel.